Now I'm going to go to presentation 4. No, this is presentation. Yeah, it is presentation 4. There you go. So the speakers are both from Peninsula Community Legal Centre, and first one is Mike Chaplin. And now I'm going to have a go, and please correct me if I get this wrong. Is it Engy Abdelsalam? Oh, look at that! Well done, me. No idea, but thank you. So Mike's a community lawyer at Peninsula Community Legal Centre, leading a project to develop a comprehensive series of short educational videos and resources targeted at family violence workers. The aim is to explain the complex and intersecting legal systems when operating in the context of family violence. Mike brings to the project his previous experience as a family violence case manager and parenting through separation facilitator and lawyer in both community legal centre and private practice. Engy is a community engagement officer at Peninsula Community Legal Centre, responsible for designing and delivering innovative projects to provide legal information to culturally and linguistically diverse communities. Engy is also a lawyer and is currently running a project to provide legal information and support to called women and young people on family violence and forced marriage. So, welcome to the stage.
Thank you so much, Brian, and for pronouncing my name correct on the first go. I'd first like to start by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we meet today and pay my respects to their elders past and present, and acknowledge that the sovereignty has never been ceded. Thank you. So what do? We are a free legal service, basically free lawyers, and we serve all the people who live in our catchment area. So we're not means tested. Anyone can get free legal advice, anyone can access our service as long as they work, live, study in our catchment area. We provide ongoing assistance, but we prioritize vulnerable clients who can't afford a lawyer or don't qualify for legal aid. The main area of practice that we do are family law, family violence, tenancy, fines, and we do criminal law as well. We also do some consumer law advice. Mainly today we'll be covering two practices that we do at Peninsula, which is our new migration clinic on which I work and our family violence practice. We've got two offices in Frankston, in fact, and including our headquarters, as well as in Rosebud, Cranbourne, Bentley, and we have plenty of outreach services. So as you can see, this is our catchment area with our tenancy team that provide advice to tenants who are in private rentals. In dealing with the landlords, it's actually bigger. We go all the way to Port Phillip. So as you can see, we serve more than 957 people in our catchment area. As you can see, almost more than half of the problems of our clients are family law and family violence related. So it's a big area of our practice that we do. And one of the things given that we have a very large family violence and family law practice that presented itself to us, is the migration intersection of family violence. As you know, many migrant clients who are on temporary visas have reported family violence that is perpetrated by their partner in Australia, who's usually their sponsor, and their visa status depends on them, and that's where visa abuse comes in. It's used to control the victim survivor. And then victim survivors may be able to access the family violence provision under the migration framework, and that's where we come in to assist. But this application process is quite technical, and it's very difficult to navigate, and it's very time sensitive as well. And many of the clients that we see are not even aware on what what visa they're on or what their entitlements are. Next slide, please. So one thing that we are going out in the community in addition with our migration clinic is, first of all, of course, provide legal advice and assistance, but we also want to have more of training and providing legal information on the family violence provision under the migration framework, and we're highlighting the importance of involving expert migration agents and lawyers in navigating the family violence provisions. And given that there are very limited free migration law services that are available, we are attempting to try to fill the gap and assist the sector in providing legal advice. We are mainly seeking referrals from professionals like you, as we're a referral-only service, but we're also trying to change the conversation on when exploring the visa status of clients and when referring them to get migration advice. We think that the earlier is the better. If you refer your client while you're still safety planning, they actually have a better chance of getting a better outcome in their visa application, and that's where we're trying to ask social workers, family violence case managers, and settlement case workers to refer their clients as early as possible. The minute you identify that the client might be on a temporary visa, that's the time they need to get advice to be able to help them navigate this very technical system, as one mistake, one day late could mean refusing their application. Next slide. So our clinic runs once a month on a Friday, and as I said, it's referral only. It runs in our Cranbourne office, in 65 Cranbourne Road, next to the Cranbourne Library. And you can email this email migration@PCLC, or give us a call to book your clients in. You're also more than welcome to email me or give me a call for warm referrals for any multicultural clients or clients that you may have, but also directly to the migration clinic. Next slide. And now I will hand over to Mike to speak about our family violence practice.
Yeah, thanks, Engy. When we were talking before, Engy says, I'm a very concise speaker, so I'll go first. And I said, I'm not a very concise speaker, so this will go long. Sorry. Oh, I've never done a lectern before. So I just wanted to talk first about kind of the value of legal advice and the value of lawyers in these spaces. I think sometimes there's a lot of confusion around what is a legal problem and how people can actually engage with legal advice. To take it all the way back to the start, just like Engy was saying, we're an organisation where anyone can come in and speak to a lawyer for free. Everything's private and confidential, and you're getting advice from a lawyer who is a specialist in the area, basically, is very experienced, and often, particularly in a family violence context, we have a lot more experience than private practitioners in terms of understanding the dynamics of family violence, the impacts of trauma and all of those things, as well as having a holistic view about how issues of family violence affect so many different areas of someone's life. And that's kind of the key point, I think, that I want to make. Let me just scroll myself down. So in the role that I'm working in at the moment, what we're doing is going out and talking to family violence workers. Like I said, I was once one myself, so I can kind of feel a little bit of where you guys are coming from and how complicated everything is, because you're doing so many different bits and pieces of work, right? It's like, got to do my MARAM, got to understand how to safety plan, got to send this person to that service and this service, and it can just feel a bit overwhelming, particularly because getting people linked to services seems a lot more complicated sometimes than it needs to be. So when we spoke to people, we said, you know, what do you guys understand about how the legal system operates? And when we're talking about legal systems, we're not just talking about, okay, I'm going to go get an intervention order. We're talking about, okay, you've got an intervention order, you've got kids. What are you going to do with your kids? Do you need to create a parenting order? How do you go about that? What are the steps along the way? Oh, now child protection are involved. What does that look like? How do these bits and pieces all line up? And the answer is that is so hard to understand. And it's very, very, very case by case. So you can't just go in and say, well, this happened to this one person, so I'm going to advise this person that, because that's how we unfortunately get bad outcomes for people. So what I'm trying to say is, all of that stuff, to understand that is a really big ask, and we feel for you on that. But luckily, you don't have to know that, you know? You don't have to know how all these systems intersect. You just have to know to send people to us, to send people to get that free legal advice. Like Engy was saying, we have a holistic practice. We have teams that are family violence lawyers that practice and work as duty lawyers in the Magistrates Court. We also have a family law team that run matters all the way through the Federal Family Court. And those people speak to each other. We often make referrals through the services. Because there can be really significant impacts for people if they do things on one side without the other side kind of being aware of what's happening. So the truth is, like we've just said, family violence always comes with legal issues. It's really just this whole tree of problems that everything grows from, and getting that advice and support early is how we kind of trim back those branches. That doesn't mean that there isn't support that workers can give along the way. There's actually heaps of really, really meaningful things you can do as a worker. But the first thing is to link someone in with legal support. They really need it from the beginning all the way through, I would say, pretty much always. If it's about an intervention or if it's about something else, they're always going to need a lawyer. I just want to stress that point. And you as a support worker can help encourage that and enable that support to happen. Because if we as lawyers, workers, allies, supports, families, friends, whatever, if we're just sending people off down these paths without properly knowing the actual destination that they're going to get to and managing their expectations around how things work, we're only really setting them up for failure and re-traumatization. And that's not intentional, obviously, but unfortunately it does happen. So if you listen to nothing else, we just want you to take away that if you help people to go and get that legal support early and often, that makes all the big difference, particularly to the trajectory of their lives. And I just want to tell you a little story, and you see why Engy went first. So we were working with someone and they had a family violence worker. Person's intervention order's coming to the end, they expire, and so she says, well, I need an extension because I'm still in fear. This is a dangerous situation. She's currently going through Federal Family Court around seeking a parenting order for arrangements for their children. She's got children shared with the person who was being violent. So she talks to her, she's got a family lawyer, she talks to her support worker, and the support worker says, oh yeah, of course, you need an extension, my job as your support worker is to apply for that extension, let's do it together, here's the process, da-da-da-da. Sends it off. Before that happens, she goes and talks to her family lawyer, the family lawyer says, I don't think you should actually do this. There's been no breaches of the order to this point. It doesn't look like there's strong merits on your application, and because you're going through the family court, I reckon they're going to use this against you. Whether we agree that that's fair or not, unfortunately, it is a reality that some people experience, and it is what happened. She had to speak to a court child expert. She spoke to the court child expert. They said, hey, we see that you've done this extension. We think you're trying to withhold the kids from the father. We're going to call you a non-contact mother. We're going to write it all up in a report. And now, even though she was looking at a better outcome in terms of time she was going to get with her children originally through the family court, now she's got less, right? Not a fun story, but what happened is everyone was doing their job, but that person thought their job was minimising risk in an immediate way and not necessarily looking at the long-term impacts of that risk. So you don't have to know all that stuff. That's not what we're asking you to do. And I'm sure a lot of people already do. I don't mean to say to not speak to your experiences, which I'm sure are very vast. But whenever someone is engaging with any system or any process, they need to get advice, because we have that bird's eye view and we can say, oh, well, this might happen and this might happen and this might happen. And we don't make decisions for people, you know. We take their instructions. They make their own decisions. We just give that advice. And I think it's really important that we continue to centre on clients' actual needs and clients' actual wants. And they can say, okay, well, I'm going to take this step knowing that these things might happen, instead of, oh, someone told me I had to take the step and now all of a sudden all of these things have happened and I'm left kind of unpicking it. So that's me talking about why legal advice is important. I just want to really, really quickly say thank you all for the work that you do, and please remember that I think sometimes legal advice centres can get a bit of a confused idea in people's heads in terms of what we do. We are actually people's lawyers. Like, we go to court for them, we represent them, we file paperwork, we advocate for them to get an intervention order, we advocate for them to get a parenting order. We do all of that work for people. We're not just like kids in a library giving advice, even though at one point in time that was maybe true for some of us. So yeah, please do reach out. The information on how to make a referral is up there on the board. In terms of duty lawyers for the court, you probably already know about this, but there's that pre-court information form that someone fills in. What happens is they say, yes, I want a duty lawyer. We get contacted by the court, and then we'll make contact with the client. We try to do it a week before the hearing, but sometimes because of capacity we can't do that. That's where we take instructions, otherwise we take them on the day. There's so many other things we do as well. We probably can't take questions because this guy's standing up, eh?
This isn't going to work. Yes, it worked. No, we have time. I'm actually standing up to say, does anybody have any questions?
Oh,
you
my
guys
gosh.
thought that you'd smashed out all your time?
I was going so fast, man. I was yeah, they were going to play me off.
Do we have a question over here? Or, I've got one here and then we'll come to you, Mark.
Sorry, just about referrals. Do you want it from a professional or can you have a referral?
To which practice?
To that.
Well, the answer is both are available for people. So people can make a direct referral for an appointment themselves by contacting our main line and giving the information. Sometimes I think it can be more useful for a worker to help with the referral because, as you probably know, lawyers have rules around when they can give advice or not because of our conflicts and our legal obligations. So sometimes if a worker reaches out in advance, you can kind of say, hey, here's this person's name, they've given me permission to make contact, would you guys be able to help? And we might not be, we might be conflicted, and then we'll say, you guys should go over here. And then that just avoids that situation of the person feeling like all these doors are being shut in their face, which might kind of already be things that they're experiencing. But yeah, they're welcome to contact directly as well.
So basically, I'll simplify it. If you're referring a multicultural client, you're more than welcome to warm refer to me. If it's also a warm, like a vulnerable client that you don't want particularly, you want to make sure that you hand them over, you can also contact me. I'm happy to book them in. If it's migration related, I'm also happy to book them in. With the intake, as a worker, you're more than welcome to call and book your clients in if you've got verbal consent. But also there is the family violence practice email where you can send a referral form or just call, and our very friendly intake admin staff will help you. Yes, that's it. We can't really tell what the conflict is, like we can't really tell you or tell the client what's the reason for the conflict of interest, but generally it's because we can't really advise two parties in any matter on the same issue. Yeah.
Great, thank you. Do we have any other questions? We've got a minute or so left. Mark? No, there's no one else, Mark.
Just about the conflict. So can you represent both parties?
Yeah, no, we can't. But we do work closely with Victoria Legal Aid and other community legal centres around. So yeah, exactly. If someone is prevented from accessing our service, we'll just point them in the right direction.
And whenever you call, there will be no you're not gonna be told, oh, we can't help you, and then we hang up. We actually always make sure that we refer out whatever area of law. We make sure we give referrals.
Yeah, we got one question up the back first, and then to yourself, and then we'll have to refer all other questions to Mentimeter.
With your immigration lawyer or migration agent, do they provide advice, general advice, and then assistance with family violence provisions? Or do they also help with student visas, protection visas, other kinds of visas?
Okay, so with our pro bono clinic, we have a migration specialist who's a solicitor who supervises the clinic. We do provide advice and assistance, ongoing assistance, but it's mainly for clients who are on a temporary partner visa, who hold it or have applied for it, and would like to access the family violence provision. So it's very specific.
Yeah.
We are always reviewing what other areas of law that we can, migration law that we can help with. So that's always changing, but at the moment it's only this very narrow cohort of family violence victim survivors who are on partner visa. But you know, feel free to contact me or just give us a call or send an email if you've got any other sort of migration sort of problem. If we can help, we will help. If we can't, we'll make sure that you get referrals to either pro bono or free migration service, but also we've got a network of what we call low bono or fixed fees migration lawyers who are on board, very happy to help. So please feel free to give us a call. We're trying to provide extra support to the sector. Feel free to contact me. I'm happy to help.
Great. And last question.
I was going to ask about the clinic that you offer for the migration services. Do you offer outreach specifically for that clinic in case there's any women who are unable to travel to, was it in Cranbourne?
Yeah.
Yes, how do you work around that?
So at the moment, the clinic is once a month based in Cranbourne, but if you've got a client with special sort of circumstances where they can't come into Cranbourne, I'm sure we can work around their needs and offer phone advice. So just reach out and we're happy to accommodate for them. As long as they get the assistance they need, we're more than happy to help.
Excellent. Well, please join me in thanking Mike and Engy.